Focusing on a woman who upped and left her previous life as somebody called Cheryl after being an individual who wanted more but didn't have the means to support it, we saw the story of this movie focus around Neve, a new alias that Cheryl was living under several years after her departure. However, her previous life as Cheryl was coming back to her, and within her mind it was quite literally haunting her in more ways than one. With this movie having an abrupt ending and quite literally going full circle, let's recap, break down, and explain all that there was to take away from this movie. So let's get into it. Here is the STRAYS ending explained. Just to let you know, this video will contain spoilers. We started off seeing this movie at a time in the early 2000s where the main character that we came to know was leading a completely different life. We saw that she was on the phone to her sister and was tired of the life that she was leading and the way that she was treated in society, as was also supported by the newspaper articles. Here, she was living her life as Cheryl, a qualified saleswoman who had won Saleswoman of the Year 3 times in a row, so she was well respected within her field, but within society, to quote what she said, she was viewed as some kind of reprobate and put at the bottom of the list. This was due to the color of her skin. She was struggling with money and wanted to live a life that offered more. At this point, she was watching a program on the TV where it looked as though somebody that was wealthy was getting out of the car in the suburbs. A place where we would later pick up with the character, showing the life that she would eventually be going on to lead. So from this moment on, we saw Cheryl leave and never look back. We also got a glimpse of the family that she was leaving behind in this moment where we heard her sister on the phone tell Carl to go and tend to his sister. And also when her partner Michael was on the phone and he left a message. We then saw the next 2 chapters of the movie played to us, which were the exact same but from different perspectives. We saw that Cheryl had become Neve and she was drastically different to how we saw her in the past. She was living in quite a well-off area which was predominantly white. She'd married a different man and had 2 children. It was clear to see that she was trying to hide her true self and doing all that she could to fit into this new neighborhood, even if it meant pretending to not be who she was. Her skin color was something that she was trying to bury beneath and almost cover up due to what she had encountered in the past, leading her to feel uncomfortable in society. She was wearing straight-haired wigs to hide her natural hair. She'd changed her voice to become more well-spoken due to the area, and to quote her daughter, she made sure that nobody would ever talk about anything black. However, we saw that 2 individuals, Carl and Dione, were in the town, the only other people of color other than Neve, Mary, and Sebastian. And at first, I feel like we were led to believe that this could have been something that was going on inside of her mind. We saw her almost having these hallucinations and nightmares about her previous life and everything that she was trying to bury. The fact that nobody else was ever really seeing Carl made me think that it may not have been real, but they actually were, and we saw that they were the 2 children that Neve left from her previous life 17 years ago. They had tracked her down and we saw that they were working on getting back into her life by going through her family. This was when we got to see the same chapter shown to us but from the perspective of Carl and Dione. We saw how they were speaking with Neve's son and daughter and also her husband Ian as they started to learn more about the family and the life that they themselves missed out on. It was here where we then started to see the sinister nature and intentions that they had, the manipulation of her children and getting inside of Neve's head through them, such as Dione giving a makeover to Mary's hair and allowing her to embrace a side of her that she was naturally curious about. Both Sebastian and Mary were, but her mother never really allowed them to explore it. It all resulted in an argument at the event in Neve's garden where we saw a tremendously heart-wrenching, harrowing performance of the character Dione. She was like a ticking time bomb and you could sense that it was all due to the abandonment issues that she had. It was in the final third where we saw that the movie really upped the ante and we saw the true thriller horror side of it. With Neve thinking that she could just buy off her son and daughter, the both of them ended up going to Neve's house in the dead of night and were essentially acting like they lived there. They locked the doors, left the tap running, and wanted to order food and play board games, something that normal families do, yet they themselves missed out on. It was Dion's birthday, and that was the reason as to why they were doing it on that specific night. It was a moment that showed that after all of these years, Neve couldn't even remember her daughter's birthday, showing just how detached she was from her previous life. With Ian being taken into the home gym, we saw that he ended up being killed due to the amount of weight that he was being forced to lift. With Carl saying, "We're the same now," as he was holding the weight of the world on his shoulders and struggling to do so, I feel it was a representation of how he felt he was in society, and how the abandonment of his mother leaving him was on his shoulders. He was holding a lot of weight and was unable to shift it. With the food being delivered, we saw that Neve walked upstairs to get her purse and pay for the food. She apologized to all 4 of her children, and we saw that she then did what she did at the start of the movie. She ran away. She looked into the mirror at herself as Neve for one final time, as she did when she was Cheryl in the beginning, and then exited, leaving all 4 of her children from the 2 different lives that she led, who were once on the opposite sides, now on the same, as they too became what was just in front of them, victims of a mother who ran away for a better life. Cheryl cared mainly for herself. The way that she upped and left before, she did it again, showing that she always wanted more and only looked out for herself, hiding who she always was in the hopes of being able to forge a better one. The ending was extremely abrupt, and it was quite powerful watching all 4 of them stand there listening to the sound of the motorbike riding their mother away to a life that may take them another 17 years to find. It was a hauntingly powerful ending. I felt the abrupt nature of it meant that it could make the statement that it wanted to without lingering or trying to drag it out longer than it needed to. I thought this movie was okay. I liked the power of the message that was being conveyed and the delivery of Neve, Dione, and Carl. They all had split personalities and were great at switching between emotions and personalities. Neve's struggle to fit into a place no matter how hard she tried was so apparent, and Carl and Dion's want to fit into something so simple as a family was apparent too, yet that just wasn't enough for Neve. The pacing of this movie worked perfectly. The space that was left between cuts, the slight horror element but more psychological thriller adoption was the perfect tone for this movie. The runtime was something that I felt was a good choice too. Having 1 hour and 30 minutes instead of forcing this to be over 2 hours was the right decision, and I think it actually complemented it, as it never felt like it dragged at all, despite there being a weighted, heavy story to it. It was a good one-off, a powerful commentary on society, and also an insight into a woman that always wanted more, no matter what the cost came at. It's one of Netflix's better movies in recent times, and the weird nature of it allows it to shine. So, there you have it, the Strays ending explained. If you want to see more videos such as endings explained, theories and predictions and character breakdowns, then click on the I button. Or alternatively, you can head over to my channel where you'll find them all. If you'd like to give me a show or movie that you'd like me to review, then head over to my Twitter, @brainpilot_, and tweet me what show or movie you'd like me to review next. And finally, if you'd like to see what I rate the latest movies that don't quite make the cut to getting a dedicated video, then head over to my Letterboxd profile. It's where I rate the latest releases in real time. What did you think of this movie? Leave a comment down below, and don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you next time.